Hi everybody and welcome back to the Girly Girl Bookworm. So it is Booktubeathon day. It's still really early in the morning, so this is clearly not my update. But I did say that I was going to bring you a weekly wrap up from what I've read prior to the Booktubeathon, so that way I don't have like a 2-week wrap up by the end of this. So let's just get started. I have 4 books to share with you. I did do one reread for the month so far, so that's exciting. So yes, let's get on to the books. The first book I read this week was Love and Gelato by Jenna Evans Welch. I always get confused because of that sticker. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. It takes place almost all the way, all of it is in Italy. It follows this girl. She just lost her mom to cancer, and she is told to go live with her dad in Italy. And while she's there, she ends up getting one of her mother's journals. So she really kind of uses this journal to try to figure her way through Italy. She doesn't really want to be there. She's living in a cemetery. She really is not happy being there. And it takes going through this journal to figure out her way in her life there. And I thought it was really, really good. Obviously there's a little bit of romance in here, which is why I couldn't give it that half a star. The romance just really bothers me when there's 16-year-olds running around saying that they love people after only knowing somebody for 2 weeks. So that kind of really just one of those things that just bothers me. I have no problem with people being in love whatsoever. It's just when it happens after 2 weeks and all of a sudden be I love this person. You barely know them. You're 16. I don't know. That's just one thing that irks me about YA contemporary is it happens way too fast. If you just said you really like him and you'd like to pursue things, that would be totally fine with me. But the whole love pursuit is bothersome. But I really enjoyed this character. I really enjoyed her journey and what she was going through. I felt like I was in Italy with her and discovering things with her. It made me really want some gelato and some pizza because it sounded delicious and I wanted it. So definitely a really good read, and I would definitely recommend this book. So then my reread, I reread 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James. I'm not rereading this because I love this series. I'm rereading it because I really didn't want to read it when I read it in the first place. I was reading it to see if it was really worth all the hype back in 2012. So it's been 4 years since I've read it the first time around. So I was now that the hype is kind of gone, the movie craze is kind of gone, I was I want to reread it and see if I still think what I think about it. So back in 2012, I read this book and I gave it 3 stars. Liked the plot, didn't like the writing, and that was basically my basis for it. And I'm still agreeing with it now. The plot is a decent plot. Consider all things considered with the sex and everything. The plot is intriguing to me, but the writing and the characters still, geez Louise, how many times can one girl bite her own lip and get it pointed out? How much, the inner goddess, she still irritates me. When it's she'll be doing something and somebody will look at her or something, she'll be my inner goddess is doing the salsa, and I'm what? I'm pretty sure nobody else has an inner goddess. Whenever I read the inner goddess, I think of Lizzie McGuire. I'm probably totally dating myself with this, but Lizzie McGuire, when she had her cartoon person interacting with what was going on in her head, that's what I picture with the inner goddess, and I'm she's 21 years old. What is she doing? So it's still a 3-star read for me because I just can't get past some of the writing like that. And I'm going to continue on with the whole trilogy. But right now I just read this one. So yeah, 3 stars. And then I picked up No Ordinary Life by Suzanne Redfern because I've been really wanting to read this. This is about a woman who has 3 children. Her husband kind of has up and left her. So she takes her kids to go live with her mom in LA. And the youngest little girl, she gets discovered on YouTube. Her mom is out like applying for jobs, and she starts dancing with this man on the street, and people film it and think she's amazing. So she gets discovered through YouTube, does a Gap commercial, like then lands a role on a sitcom. And things get really messed up with this family, and they realize that stardom maybe is not everything they expected it to be. And I thought it was pretty good. I gave it 4 stars. It was slower than I was expecting because it's only 350 pages. And the font is actually pretty big, but it did take me a little while to get through it, so it was a lot slower than I was expecting it to be. And the ending made no sense to me. Like, I got to the ending and I went to like the next page, like expecting more, like another chapter. There was no chapter. There was no epilogue. Like, it just kind of like ends, and I'm like, what just happened? Like, 2 characters seemed like they were just about to get in a fight, and then out of nowhere it was like over, and it was like the end. I'm like, wait, where did this like, I was so confused. I did not appreciate the ending. The characters were really interesting. The mom, like, trying to see like why she was making certain decisions. The little girl is like my favorite. Her name is, I believe, Molly, if I remember right. It's not on the back, is it? But she was awesome. I thought it was, her middle child is a boy who has like selective mutism, and he kind of comes out of his shell. And I thought this was interesting because as a teacher, I've dealt with children with selective mutism, and the way he comes out of his like shell is totally like, I feel like not possible, if that makes sense. It seemed to go from one extreme to another extreme really quickly. And then the oldest daughter is like 12, acting like she's 20. So that was a little bothersome because, like, obviously, like, I know kids grow up super fast, but like the way they were talking about these 12 and 13-year-olds were really weird. Like, they were talking about this 13-year-old boy named Caleb, and they were talking about how like he could hook up with whoever he wants to, and like girls are constantly throwing their room keys at him, and I'm like, he's 13. Like, what? Like, I could see maybe like a 16-year-old or like an 18-year-old with that like kind of lifestyle, but 13 just didn't seem believable. But like, I like the storyline as a whole, which is why I gave it 4 stars still. It could be like a 3.54. Like, it's more like towards the 3 side than the 5 side for me, unfortunately. But she does have another book out called Hush Baby. I think that's what it's called. Oh, Hush Little Baby, and I'm definitely interested in picking that one up because that one sounds more thrillery than this one, but definitely an interesting read, and I think it's really cool to read, especially when it's like getting discovered on YouTube. Not that I'm gonna get discovered on YouTube because that's not gonna happen, but like the ability that YouTube has to like affect careers. Like, obviously, like, you know, the big up and popular YouTubers, like, and how their lives have totally changed from sitting in their bedroom filming videos to what they are now, kind of thing. Even though that's not how she gets discovered. Just the powers of YouTube. I'm just going to stop rambling. And then the last book I picked up was The Son of Neptune by Rick Riordan. I almost finished this book in like one sitting, like, which is crazy because it's huge. And I was like reading it Saturday morning, and then we had a wedding Saturday night, so I had to put it down. I literally only had 100 pages left before we left for the wedding. So I finished it yesterday. I finished it last night, and I gave this book 4 stars. This is the second book to the Heroes of Olympus. The first book followed 3 full new characters, and then this follows 2 new characters, but plus Percy. So Percy is now back, which was exciting because then it like makes it feel more like a connection to the first series. Like, granted, I understand it's a spinoff, but I'm really excited for where this series is going, where we will hopefully get the 7 characters, so the 4 from the first book, and then these 3, and hopefully get them together, so then we don't have, like, because the one bad thing about having, like, them separated is, like, you only hear from Percy, Frank, and Hazel in this book. You don't really hear what's really happening on the other end. Just like when you read the first book, you really heard from Piper, and Jason and Leo, you didn't know what was going on in this book. So, like, it'll be nice once they, like, kind of emerge, because in the beginning of this book, it's kind of parallel timeline to what was happening in the first book. So it'll be interesting once they're finally, like, all together, which I'm hoping is what's happening in the next book. I'm just making a prediction, which I can't pick up yet because Patrick is still reading it. But he said for the booktubeathon, he's going to try to finish that book, because then I could be caught up and I could read that one once he's done with it. So, yes. This was 4 stars for me. I found this one kind of more exciting than The Lost Hero, and I think it might be because I'm finally, like, remembering things versus, like, going from Percy Jackson series and reading it, like, 3 years ago, not 3, like, 2 years ago, to then having to, like, pick it back up to remember for Lost Hero. So I feel like now that, like, I'm really, like, remembering what happened and things like that, I could really, like, enjoy the series so much more. So, yeah, those are the 4 books that I read prior to the booktubeathon. It starts today. I don't know what I'm going to pick up yet. I haven't decided. I'm, like, staring at my books. They're, like, right there on the floor. So after this video, I'm going to upload